Can that money sustain you if you are living in the UK or in the US without going to work? That same amount of money that you want to go and live within Africa, can it sustain you here?
What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again here on the King Ghana YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here today. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming here. And today I have one of my more favorite YouTubers here. He didn't know it, but I was stalking his channel. A very, very talented mind. He has a very unique perspective of what he talks about for the African community as well as the diaspora. But I'll let him introduce his name and what his channel is about. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you so much, O'Shea. Thank you for reaching out. I honestly did not know that you are such a big fan, and I'm impressed that I'm making that impact. I always say that my YouTube channel is not about making any money. It's about ensuring that we can actually make impact on how people think about their finances. Because at the end of the day, despite the fact that this was not our system, but now we have this system, we're functioning within this capitalistic system, and we have to make do, and we have to be at our best. Now, like, we are Black people, we always thrive anywhere we are. So despite the system not being ours, despite the game not being ours, we still have to play the game and win possibly. So thank you so much. I'm here, I'm Ken's Money Matters. As O'Shea said, I'm basically a financial literacy champion. I champion financial literacy, mainly focused on Black people. The reason for that, I'll say later when I get the opportunity, but I focus so much on people of African descent or Black people because I know they require a different kind of approach with regards to finances. And because I have been in Europe, I've been to the West, been to a lot of countries, I understand the systems and how they run, but I realize that despite the fact that I know that system and how it works, it cannot work for our people. So we need to have a different perspective with regards to finances. We need to have a different perspective with regards to business. We need to have a different perspective with regards to growth and building wealth. We need to have a different perspective with regards to even relationships, because relationships are part of finances. And that's where we're going to. So it's basically a financial freedom journey that is mainly focused on Black people. So thank you, and I'm elated to be here.
All right. And again, like we were talking a little bit earlier, people may not know that, but one of the things I'm a big fan of, money channels, like, the Money Guy show, and people who talk about, the Fidelity Index funds, the Vanguard Index funds. And when I was looking for similar content or equivalent to that, so I noticed that we saw a lot of channels on YouTube, especially in the West, Fidelity, people talking about Vanguard Index funds and things like that. When it came to looking for these investments in Africa, it was hard to certainly find them. And I came across your channel, right? Because I was looking for investments. I saw Saiton, I saw Britam, and you exposed me to all of those things. But you were making the case before we kind of got into the show that financial literacy is just not pushed in Kenya. It's not pushed in the Black communities. Why do you think that is?
Oh, that makes sense. Financial literacy definitely has not been taught to most people. It's not just in the Black community, but generally financial literacy is something that hasn't been taught to people. And I do believe that this is how the system is meant to work. The capitalistic system is meant to feed some people and always not feed others, to a certain level. It's supposed to be a stratified system whereby some people are feeding more than the others, whereby we have the landowners and then we have the laborers. So if you go back to the theoretical view of it. So if you look at it from that perspective, financial literacy is not something that will be pushed as much. But now we understand that the Western system pushes it more because they have realized that it is important for their people in terms of building wealth. That despite the fact that you don't want to give them so much, you want to give them enough knowledge for them to make the economy running. And that's a very important concept. They have realized the importance of making sure that the economy is running, and therefore they have to feed some knowledge to their people so that they can keep the economy running. Now, why is it that it's not pushed back in Africa? Generally, not just Kenya. It's because, first of all, the system is not meant for us. The capitalistic system, like I mentioned before, is not meant for the African system. We had our systems and how things were supposed to be. And unfortunately, we are not in a position now to see exactly where that system was going to go to. We are not in a position to see how our civilization economically was going to be. Now we are in this particular system and we have to survive and thrive in this particular system. But the problem is when they the colonizers came, they left that same system for us. They left the capitalistic system. They set up structures that you are supposed to follow, even though we are not fitting those structures perfectly well. It's basically a peg and a round hole whereby we can't fit well into those particular structures. But right now, the fact that financial literacy is not pushed in most Black communities is, first of all, is structural and intentional. And two, it's also unintentional to some level. So it's intentional because the system is meant to run such that there are the landowners and there are the laborers. Some people have to remain the landowners. Some people have to remain the laborers. And therefore, that system has to be retained that way. Because remember, the people who have been in power in Africa for the longest time had a connection with the colonizers. They were basically imposed there by the colonizers, right? So the same system that what was used to control them is the same system they inherited to control their own people. So in that sense, they're not willing to leave that ownership of the country, ownership of the land to everyone else. So if I teach you about financial literacy in that sense, it would mean to me that you're going to be a landowner too. And it means you will also have the power, because when you have economic power, you have political power. When you have political power, you have access to some things that you shouldn't be having access to. So these people who took over had to ensure that the people remained as stupid, as dumb as possible. And one of the areas that you want to control people is financial control. You want to make sure that you are controlling someone's bread. If you're controlling my dinner, where my dish comes from, you're going to control how I think. If you're controlling how I think, you're in a position to rule me and do whatever you want with me. And that's how the system is. That's intentional. It's intentional from the colonizers, and then our people inherited the same system, and they're now using it against our own people. Second, the fact that financial literacy is not pushed is because this, like I said, the system wasn't meant for us, and that means the knowledge of the information is not meant for our system. So our culture, whereby we come up in community settings, whereby I'm supposed to come up and help my brothers and help my sisters and help my mother and help my community come up, we are not in a position to be taught that, okay, in a capitalistic system, you need to be as individualistic as possible. You need to take as much as possible for yourself. You need to grow yourself. You need to build yourself and become as wealthy as possible. It doesn't talk about you need to help people. You need to build your brother. You need to build your sister. So don't you find that kind of conflict going to be a problem for an African? Because now, whereby as an African, my mind is I need to help my siblings. But in the process of helping my siblings back at home, I'm creating a cycle of dependency. And therefore, no one is going to make it out of that cycle of dependency because I'm the one who's supposed to make my own. Everyone is looking at me. Now, the financial system, the capitalistic system will not tell you that you need to help people. It will tell me that I need to be alone. I need to build myself. I need to build my own wealth. So in that system, it's unintentional, therefore, that there is a problem with financial literacy system in our culture because the culture and the knowledge or the information cannot meet. Basically, there's a conflict between the culture and the information that's being given. So that's another reason why it's not. So it's both intentional, like I said, and structural and unintentional. And whichever way you look at it, nobody's willing to take that education further because even right now as we speak, they still need to control the land. They need to control the resources. And remember, these resources are not only controlled domestically within Kenya, for example, within Ghana, within the African countries. These same resources are also controlled from the capitalistic heads, who control the whole system, the whole financial industry. Because however much you may not think there's no structure, there's a clear structure of how the economic system runs, a clear structure of how the political system runs, a clear structure of how the social system runs. So they know how to control it. And right now, they will not be willing to offer that education. Because if we were willing, how long does it take you to change a curriculum to have financial literacy? How long does it take that? Within a country, that's a decision that should take a parliament one day or even 1 hour to say, you know what, instead of teaching people about some white people who discovered some land in Africa, let's teach them about money. Let's teach them about credit cards. Let's teach them about borrowing. Let's teach them about land ownership. Let's teach them about real estate. Let's teach them about stocks. How long does it take you to include such information in a particular curriculum? It's because they don't want to, and it's because somebody somewhere is controlling the kind of information that is being fed to you. And that information has to be something that makes you dumb and makes you controllable. So yes, financial literacy is definitely not going to be pushed in African communities, not anytime soon.
So let me ask you this based off what you said, because, and it's true, because even in America, people are not so big on financial literacy, but I do understand that with the shows like the Money Guy show, you have, David Ramsey, guys like that. So many different guys who are on YouTube doing many interesting things. Guys who are making just stuff about Fidelity index funds, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. What I want to know is, and Graham Stephan, he's Graham Stephan, whatever his name is. Yeah, he's very, very popular. But what made you create this channel, and what kind of literacy or do you talk about that's pertinent for not only just the Kenyans but the African diaspora?
Okay. So basically, what made me create the channel, like I said, it's funny enough, I never thought of money. So for me, I was looking for an opportunity to actually reach out to my people. I live in the diaspora at the moment, and I wanted a way in which I can reach out to people back at home. And the only way I could reach to those people every single day or every single week was through, recording videos, either on Facebook, which I've done for a while now. And I did this on Facebook before I went to YouTube. And then I realized, okay, not so many people are on Facebook. If you want to talk to someone who is in the rural area in Kenya to understand some financial issues, they won't go into Facebook looking for that information. So I thought, okay, which place is used often by most people, basically for entertainment. Then YouTube came to my mind. I thought, okay, most people watch videos, they watch music videos, they watch all this kind of comedy on YouTube. So why not get to YouTube and post my videos there and see what kind of impact I can create? And one thing I always told myself is, I'm not going to look for millions of people. I'm going to look for just that one person who can get the message and change their life. And if I get one person to actually change the way they handle their money, the way they think of investment, the way they think of wealth, then I will have impacted a number of people who are connected to that particular person. So mine has never been about, I'm trying to reach millions at once. No, it's one person at a single time. So my intention was basically to reach the African community in the diaspora and back at home. And I told you the main reason was, I looked at this financial system here. I went to a system here where I've gone to school here. I've done 2 masters here. I'm currently doing my PhD here. So I know the system quite well. And therefore I realized, you know what, however much I'm going through the system, this education system, this thing does not work for our people. The financial advice, the financial consultation does not work for our people. So let's say, for example, the financial advice component. When you say financial advice, it's pegged on assets. It's pegged on what you have. It's pegged on how much have you accumulated so far. Now, that is a big problem, because if I'm going to talk to a young person in Kenya, for example, or in Uganda, in the rural area, you're not going to talk to this person, you know what, I want to give you financial advice, but I want to charge you based on the assets you have so far. Because that's how financial advice works here where I am. And even in the US, that's the same thing. So if I'm going to hire a financial advisor or get a financial advisor to help me make some decisions, then I have to charge you based on the assets you have. And it's a good percentage. You will be paying me almost $500 an hour or something like that. Now, it's very unrealistic for me to go to someone in Kenya, someone my age, and ask them for $500 an hour to advise them on finances. First of all, it's ridiculous, because this person is just starting life. This person is just starting to build life. That's number one. So they are no assets. They don't have the assets you're talking about. That's the first thing. The second thing why I wanted to push it back to Africa is because the financial advice system does not take into consideration the fact that we have a different culture. Like I told you, we have a completely different environment. Our mindset when we are being brought up with regards to money is completely different from somebody's mindset in the West. So we look at money very different. For example, in my case, I had no time where I sit down with my parents and discuss our finances. Never. It never happened. So if I'm going to give you financial advice, I have to take into consideration that this is something that's new to you. You've never learned it, and therefore I cannot give you financial advice. What I can give you is financial coaching. And that's what I always tell people. There's no way you can give financial advice to someone in Africa who is just starting out in life. They need financial coaching. Financial advice is given to people with assets, people who are already at a particular stage of life economically, and therefore they're in a position to actually comprehend whatever it is you're talking about and to pay for it. But most people in Africa, I must say, require financial coaching. What's the difference? A coach basically holds your hands from wherever you are. So in Africa, for example, in Kenya, for example, I can talk to someone who is just finishing school right now. We'll talk about career. We'll talk about what they're going to do. And we're going to talk about how to start managing that money when they start working. So it's a whole process of guidance and basically telling someone, okay, this is the next step. This is the next step. It's not about telling you, okay, how many assets do you have? I'm going to charge you this much. I'm going to give you an advice for 1 hour and we're done. There's no way we're going to change our financial literacy system with that kind of advice or that kind of system that is here. We have to take into consideration the fact that, you know what, these are completely different culture. They didn't have this information. We're starting from zero. And therefore you have to guide them through the process. So those are some of the reasons why I decided, you know what, I have to do this back in Africa. So basically our requirements and our needs with regards to financial literacy are different.
Let me talk to you about this, because what I noticed is, you know, living now in Poland, and although Poland is much, it is different than living in the United States. The one thing that I do understand is that the economy is stable enough in the European Union where people can have dependable jobs. Employment is rather low. And even in the United States, it's lower in the United States, even during COVID, than let's say someplace like South Africa or someplace like, Kenya. So people can pretty much, depend on things like, you talked about Roth IRA before, we talked about 401k, company match. If you're a guy that has a business like me, I use the SEP IRA. And then you have, financial management companies that can handle this stuff for you, most notably Fidelity, BlackRock, Vanguard is probably one of the more popular ones, about the popular ones. It created the index fund. So you have all of these financial tools that, robo advisors, right? You have that all throughout the American database, or the even UK, Vanguard UK, stuff like that. What I've noticed is that, when you're in Africa, many times, there is not, you're a person that's probably looking at trying to start a business. Where in America, it's, you have every industry there. McDonald's is there, Facebook, Google is there, right? So you can get a really good job as possible. Whereas in Africa, the person is looking to create, a lot of times, if they want to make decent money, their own opportunities. So, and many people are living day to day. I mean, I don't know about Kenya, but I do know that's the truth in Uganda. You see a lot of people, same thing as Kenya. So then my question is this: when people are making videos, giving people advice with regards to, you're getting your paycheck, you're getting 6% corporate match. And I see that you're making your videos to advise people who are living a lot of times day by day and trying to gain money to invest in the business to start it and stuff like that. How do you advise a people with living in this sort of environment, which is very, it's very dangerous, to be honest, right? How do you deal with that, with all of these different variables and factors into someone's day-to-day life?
That's a good question, definitely. And that's one thing I wanted to actually tackle on this show. How do you approach people who are basically trying to live basically daily on a daily bread, basically day-to-day life? It's basically they're trying to survive today, survive tomorrow. They're not thinking about 20 years from now, and that's a big challenge we have. Now, let me just mention first of all that we were not taught as Africans. I do believe to some level that we were not taught to think such long term, because in our environment there was no need for that. The environment provided for us, things were always in abundance, and therefore we did not have to think long term. Now it means that long term mindset is not with us. That's number one. So how do you advise someone who's already struggling to start a business, for example, or to do something, or to invest in something, but they're struggling so much to do it, financially speaking? Now, number one, like I said, I don't talk about financial advice. I don't talk about advice. I don't advise anyone. I give financial coaching or financial guidance or financial consultation. Consultation could mean that you just want to ask me one question or two questions and then you go your way. Maybe all the other things. But most of the time, people come for financial coaching. So where do I start? Now, this is the most important and the most interesting part for Ken's Money Matters. And I must say this is where I am unique and very different with most people. I start from the mindset. Because I realized that 80% of what we're doing is based on the mindset. 80% of our success with regards to financial literacy will not be about how they handle their money. It won't about how much money they have. Like you said, most of these people are already struggling. So what I do is I focus so much on the mindset of abundance, the mindset of controlling money, the mindset of attracting opportunities, the mindset of using opportunities that you have to scale higher to the next level. So you will find that most of the time when people come to me, they are so shocked because I won't be just talking about money. So my secret is to approach it from a mindset perspective. 1 or 2, 3 sessions, I'll just be talking about mindset and behavior. And what's about mindset and behavior? It's because every single thing we are doing is based on behavior. Like I said, it's about a culture, it's about a tradition, it's about how we've been brought up, it's about, you know, the environment that nurtured us, it's about the society. So all these things sometimes are going against what I'm telling you. So there's no way I'm going to talk to you about, hey, start saving 10 shillings today, start saving 50 shillings today. No. If I approach you with that, that's something you know already. You know you need to save money. You know you need to, you know, live below your means. But what matters in this particular case to you basically is changing your behavior and mindset to think long term. Now, how do I start telling someone who's living day to day about long term mindset? No, I don't go 10 years, 15 years. No, I tell them, okay, so this particular time you have food, you have everything you need, you have this business going on. What if this business won't be there in the next 1 week? What's the problem? What do you do? Then they decide, okay, I think I need to have some security of that, some backup plan. And that's how you introduce something like an emergency fund to somebody who is struggling already. Tell them, okay, right now I can live at least. I'm struggling, but I can live. I can get my food, I can get my shelter, I can get my clothes, and I have a small business. But let's say that this business is not there tomorrow. What do we do? Then you teach them about that, having that backup. So like I say, how you advise us, or how you advise such people, because I'm in that particular group, is starting from how our behavior is. Look at our behavior. How do we think about money? Do we see it as a bad thing? How do we see wealth building? What is wealth to us? What does it mean? Does it mean freedom to you? Or does it mean just having loss of cash? What does it mean to you? So all these things have to be discussed first before we go to the technical issues of, okay, how much money are you making now? How much money is the business bringing in? How much money does the business require? Before you get to that stage, start with the mindset and then move to the objectives and goals of that person. Make people dream, give them hope. Tell them there is an opportunity to actually make money. There's abundance of money in the world and you can make it. People are making it. So after talking about the behavior and the mindset and how they can keep that mindset in track and in check, you go to their goals and objectives. There's no way you can succeed financially without plans. And again, we were not taught to have such plans because we were not thinking long term, remember? So that means when I'm talking to someone about finances, I have to establish that this person actually wants to go somewhere. Because you could be pushing someone to go somewhere, but you don't even know where they're going to. So determine this person's goals. What are your goals, financial objectives? Do you want to take your child to school in the next 5 years? Do you want this child who is now 5 years or 2 years, to go to school in the next 5 years? What do we do? Now you're starting to make them think long term. You're starting to make them think, okay, this child will need to go to school. This school will probably be paid school. What will be the fee like? They start thinking, okay, the fee will cost me this much. Okay, how do I start having this money ready, because I may not have it at once and my child will not go to school, and that will mean I'm stuck in the same place. Now that is how you move that narrative. You don't go to someone for example, in Kenya or in Ghana and start telling them about our Vanguard, Fidelity, let's invest in McDonald's, let's invest in, no, that's not how it works. You start from the mindset. When it comes to starting businesses, again, you tell them, forget about McDonald's and the big brands. Think about the value you can provide to the people around you. Right now, where you sit, where you are in your environment, what can you do that these people here will actually derive value from? When you're talking about business, that's how you tell them. Don't tell them about the big brands. Don't tell them about index funds. Don't tell them about stocks in the US, S&P 500 and stuff. No, I'm asking them, you are a teacher right now. In that school where you go to, other teachers may need bags to carry their books. Other people may need uniforms. So why don't you start a uniform business? Why don't you start a bag business? Ladies' bags, for example. This is providing value, making you an extra money that you can then put towards your business as you grow. So you realize the difference. If I was talking to you, for example, I'll be talking about 401k, Roth IRA. Are you putting your money in 401k? Are you getting the company match? Such things.
Right.
But that won't apply there. It won't work. So those are the things. Like I said, it's mindset, it's objectives and goals, and then you get to the technical parts.
Let me ask you this, because you now live in the diaspora, and many people that watch this channel, in the last 3 years before my channel, people are interested, even from the Caribbean community, from the African American community, or just people that live now in like the UK, like you from Kenya, or from living in the US and they're from Uganda, but they want to either return back home or move to Africa for the first time. And I'm noticing that some of the YouTubers that were arriving in Tanzania or arriving in Kenya, they were trying to stay and then they were coming back, right? Now, how important is it, when you want to move back to Kenya and you've been living in the diaspora, how to manage your money and this, because this is maybe it's the whole episode we should talk about one day, but there are a lot of people that are not managing their money coming from the diaspora back to Africa. What's your solution to people who are interested in like not knowing how to do that and just showing up with emotionally because they want to come back home or they want to visit Africa? What would you say to that?
Okay. Interesting question. That should be our whole episode, as you say. But the diaspora issue is something that definitely we need to tackle. First of all, I think when we come, like I told you earlier, we had a chart and I was telling you that the mindset is quite interesting because sometimes some of us have been living in these developing countries. Like personally, I was born in Kenya and raised in Kenya. So sometimes when we come abroad, we come abroad with that white supremacy mindset, the mindset that, that everything is now perfect, where you are. And therefore you start looking back at home with what we call subjective eyes, subjective lenses. And it's not subjective in the good sense, it's subjective in the negative sense, that you start comparing your country to everything that's happening here. That's number one. So most of these people, most people in the diaspora, including those who just came recently, they are comparing what is happening back at home and what is happening where they are. And it's very subjective because you cannot compare oranges and apples, honestly. It's not how you should do the comparison. Like I said, these systems are way ahead of us in so many ways. But one thing that happens with diasporans who try to go back, or those who are still living here, is that we have that lens that we are looking at our countries with, and most people are looking at it negatively. And if you start looking at something negatively, Oshe, you must understand that it will always be negative to you. It will give you negative results, it will give you negative vibration, it will give you negative outcome. So the moment you're looking at a country negatively, I've seen people who come here 5 years, 4 years, and when they talk about going back to, for example, Nairobi, they talk about insecurity, like, they cannot walk on those streets. Most of these people have been walking on those streets for 30 years or even for 40 years. Now they have been abroad for 5 years or 4, and they cannot walk on the streets of Nairobi because of security issues. Now, that kind of subjectivity, that kind of lens you're looking at the country, it will give it back to you when you start going back there financially. Now, financially speaking, we come here and we think that, okay, now we have some money, we're making probably $2,000, $3,000 a month, and therefore if you convert that back to our society, it would be a good amount of money, right? And we forget about money management completely, because in that sense, now we're starting to think, okay, this kind of money is a lot of money here. And most of the time, what happens before they even go back, most of these people mismanage their money when they're abroad. And this happens because every time they're spending money with the mindset of Africa, the mindset of the other currency. And that actually affects how you plan your finances.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most actually think of their finances based on the environment in which they are in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the UK, for example, right? You need to start, if you're not spending money and making money, I should not be thinking, okay, £1,000 is so much money, and therefore this money will be a lot of money back at home. That is a wrong mindset. I should be thinking, how much money am I making in this system? Comparatively, in this particular system, what are the people in my same category making? What kind of investments can I make even here that will give me good money in this system? If I want to be a millionaire, I should not be struggling to be a millionaire in Uganda. I should not be struggling to be a millionaire in Ghana. I should be trying to be a millionaire here in the UK. I should be trying to be a millionaire in dollars in the US. So first of all, that mindset of thinking about money completely messes things up, because you end up having a little money here, let's say £10,000, $100,000. Then you're thinking you have everything and therefore you can survive in Africa forever. That's not going to happen, because one thing you forget is that economy and that society is moving on, it's growing. When you leave, things are not stopping. When you leave and come to the diaspora, things don't stop for you. Things are moving on. So one day you go back with $100,000 thinking, oh, there's a lot of money now. You realize, oh, shock on you, it's not a lot of money. Because now one bread is going to cost you quite a number of dollars or quids. Right. So that kind of mindset makes sure that if you had money and thinking, oh, I'm going to buy a house in Africa, I'm going to buy this in Africa, then you realize, okay, this money is actually not going to help me here. So that mindset has been the problem for most people in diaspora. They go back thinking that they will own things with a little money. Mm-hmm. The money that is here in this system, they convert it back on their heads and they think, okay, now I own things there. That's the biggest problem. So their management of money should start here. Are you investing here? How much are you investing here? How much returns are you getting? And how much money is it in this system? Can that money sustain you if you are living in the UK or in the US without going to work? That same amount of money that you want to go and live within Africa, can it sustain you here? And that way, you will have a very broad perspective. And then when you go back to Africa, it's almost similar.
Wow. That is the best thing I've ever heard. Give him a round of applause, Kim. That brother is smart. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come back with another one. But brother, like I said, one of my favorite channels in the finance sector. Now, I always want to bring the best talent. I told him I'm gonna tell my brother Wardy Maya about this, brother, because he's such a talented mind in our community. We need our best people like Brother Ken. Go ahead and tell them why they should subscribe to your channel, brother.
Please, this Ken of Ken's Money Matters, and thank you for that, Oshe. Like I said, guys, I always say I'm not here to compete with anyone. I'm not here to, do anything or look for money. I'm looking for money where I am. I'm working hard extremely, but I'm here to make an impact. I'm here to actually give back information that I have, because there's no need sitting down with it and sleeping on it while I'm abroad. So this channel is basically bringing you all the information that you need with regards to finances. And I always say at Ken's Money Matters, we talk about the money mindset, how to make that money, how to manage that money, how to enjoy that money, how to invest that money, and how to assure yourself of financial freedom, basically financial freedom journey. That's where we're going to. So guys, subscribe to my channel if you want on this journey. It doesn't matter what stage of life you are. It doesn't matter what economic stage you are in. We start from the moment you decided you're studying your course, the moment you're starting that first job, the moment you're moving abroad, the moment you're moving back home, the moment you're building that business in Africa. So we are covering everything money, guys. So subscribe, stay tuned, support me, share, and always remember, it's about the mindset, not about the cash. Thank you.
All right. So guys, thank you so much. Check out Ken's Money Managers, the first one up in the top. Check out his channel. And as you know, keep it real, Ken got it forever. We out.